Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hailing Frequencies Open. This is our wonderful event held by the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. We are so excited to be here. I'm kind of freaking out being in a virtual room with these incredible women, and we're going to meet everyone right now. First off, I am Bonnie Gordon. You might recognize me. Well, not recognize me. It's animated, but I do voices on Star Trek Prodigy. I'm so happy to be here to host. But let's get this started because we have such incredible women in this panel, and I want to make sure everyone gets their say. So we're going to start off with the lovely Marion Smothers, president of the Nichelle Nichols Foundation, and Nichelle's sister. Marion, how are you? And tell us a little bit about yourself and how Nichelle has inspired you.
Hi there, darling. So glad to be with all of you, and so happy to be able to meet you. I am Marion Nichols Smothers and the sister of Nichelle. And this has been such an honor for me to be able to start this foundation. Nichelle had long had a desire for her legacy to go on. And she and I and my younger sister had talked about it many times in the 90s and early 2000s after my mom had died. And we'd get together at least once a quarter based on Nichelle's time. And of course, I was working and my younger sister, Diane, was working at the time. But when we did get together, we would talk about this and her desire for young women to be able to go to space and beyond, to be able to be involved in technology and science, which really excited her. She was always very interested in science, but as a young girl, certain things growing up in the 40s and 50s were kept from us. We were not able to do those things. So thank God she had a talent as a singer and a dancer, and she pursued that. Thankfully, we were born to parents that enabled us to reach our potential, to help Nichelle get that start that she needed, and she was very focused as a young girl. I remember my big sister with her ballet shoes, dancing and pirouetting down the long hall in Chicago. And she was just always an amazing person to me. I did not realize, of course you don't when you're growing up until you get some years behind you, the extent of her desire and her talent and where that would take her in the future. But she was always wanting to help and promote her sisters and her brothers, these things were important to her. So it gives me great pleasure to be able to do this, to be able to found this for her legacy, for her generosity, for her enthusiasm, for her love, and for posterity.
Well, thank you so much for keeping her legacy alive. Again, we are celebrating the launch this week of the new book, To Boldly Go, and two women that are definitely boldly going and paving the way for all of us is the lovely nieces of Nichelle and Nicole Nichols, owners of The Guilty Grape, their own wine company. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, ladies, and about your company as well.
Hello. Okay, go first. Okay. I'm Nicole Nichols. And I'm Nichelle Nichols, and we're the Guilty Grape twins. And Nichelle Nichols, namesakes and nieces. And we're just so honored to be here today. Our aunt is such an amazing woman and it has such a powerful legacy. And we saw that growing up, and we didn't know how much it meant to us until we got older, and we are now trailblazing our own path within the wine industry. It's a male-dominated industry.
And, absolutely.
there's not too many African Americans within the industry.
It's less than 1%, so the lack of representation is little to none. But she literally taught us as we were growing up, it's like, I don't care if your face isn't there, make a way, push past the barriers. There is no glass ceiling. If someone's meeting you with barriers, fight back, break that wall down. And that's what we're currently doing in our world. It's like these lessons you don't realize what you're learning along the way as you're growing up, but they're so impactful now. And she's really just like, gave us so many lessons and aha moments to like really lean back on. And when people come to us like, wait, are you so-and-so? Your name sounds so familiar.
And I love that. And it's just such a connection to other people and how much they loved her. Exactly. And they're like, I have a piece of her with you. And I'm like, well, wow, thank you. You know, so it's amazing to be a part of her legacy and to carry on her name and create our own path in our industry. And we're just happy to be here to speak for her and carry on her legacy. Yes.
Well, everyone watching, you can support an incredible woman-owned business and drink wine at the same time. So go check out The Guilty Grape, because I know I will. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us for this.
All right, thank you.
I'm so excited to introduce our next panelist, Angela Dalton, the author of To Boldly Go. I would love to hear a little bit about you, Angela, and also what made you want to write this book. What was the reason behind this, and why now?
Oh, thank you. Well, first, let me say thank you so much for having me. It is just incredible. I'm like gobsmacked right to be in community and in discussion with all of these amazing women. And I'm so excited to hear how Nichelle influenced you. You know, I have always loved the Star Trek canon, and to see like how it's grown and continue to grow and influence and inspire is wonderful. The inspiration for this book literally came from me standing in Target at a checkout line and looking over and seeing this beautiful cover of Time Magazine's 50th anniversary of Star Trek. And, you know, and there was Miss Nichols just looking bad and beautiful. And I grabbed that. It took me 2 seconds. I saw it, saw Star Trek, saw her, grabbed it, bought it, took it home. And, you know, I was like a little kid again. It time warped me back to when I just loved watching Star Trek, and I read all the articles and looked at all the pictures and, you know, perused it back and forth, right? It's probably it is dog-eared and torn right now because of just how much I was just, you know, taking it all in. But it wasn't until a few days later that I was watching a TV show that did a reenactment of this moment between Miss Nichols and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how impactful and influential that moment was, not just to Nichelle, but really, again, to the Star Trek canon, to American history, to American television history, to NASA. I mean, the impact, the seismic rings of this meeting have been I'm just in awe of it. And so I saw this reenactment on television, and I'd never heard of the story before. You know, growing up as a kid, I watched Star Trek with my parents every Saturday night. It was one of the few times they would let me have red Kool-Aid because of all the eye contact. And so, you know, so it was like a double whammy of a treat. It was like Saturday night, red Kool-Aid and Star Trek and Lieutenant Uhura. Like, I was large, okay? So to be reminded, or to have this story be revealed to me, especially, you know, as a young Black woman, a young Black girl whose parents were, you know, they loved Nichelle and the impact that she had on them, and seeing how they were impacted, how they connected with her meant a lot to me. Like seeing that representation, not just on television, but the pride of my parents as Black people and everything that they had been through during the same time that everything that Nichelle was going through. And so seeing them connect with it meant a lot to me as well. It showed me, you know, there's a lot, we still have a long ways to go, even in 2023, but it showed me how long they had come in that moment, watching that television show. So I went to go look because I am a picture book author. I have 3 other picture books. My focus is always on Black girl magic, Black girl power, or Black girl lifestyle. I always want young Black girls to look at my books and see themselves. And so I thought there had to be a book about Nichelle Nichols. There just had to be. And I did my research and there wasn't. And so, first of all, I was kind of upset that there wasn't. But then I was also joyous that there wasn't, because it was an opportunity for me to try and put something into the world. And as a writer, people always tell you when you're starting out, write what you love, because you just never know if it's, it's not about selling a book. It shouldn't be about just selling a book. It should be about sharing a message, sharing your stories. And so I wrote this book with the intention of full love and honor of her and how she, what she meant to me, the connection, how she inspired me and how she impacted so many people. And so that's how To Boldly Go, how Nichelle Nichols in Star Trek helped advance the civil rights came to be. And the lovely Lauren Semmer agreed to illustrate it. And it's just beautiful. And I'm so proud of it. And I hope you enjoy it too. I hope it's in honor. Oh, thank you, Miss Smothers.
There it is. Look at that. Love it. Thank you so much. And it's true when they say when you write what you love, the reader can feel the love coming off the page. So thank you for sharing your love with all of us. And what a lovely segue to jump to Lauren Semmer, our incredible illustrator here on the panel. How did you get involved with the project, and what does it mean to you to be involved in something so wonderful and impactful?
I'm Lauren. I'm an illustrator. I've illustrated a couple other storybooks, and I also do some other kinds of illustration. And I was approached with the manuscript by Harper Collins to illustrate this book. And I get approached by different manuscripts, throughout the year, and you read them. Some you connect and some you don't. I read this one time, and I instantly knew this was an important story to tell, because Nichelle, growing up I was always a creative kid, and growing up as an artist, you didn't have those faces to see as often. And you would see her I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and so you'd see her like at 11 o'clock on Channel 9. You'd see the reruns. And so I'd see her and I'd think, wow, that's really, really cool to see this woman just kind of this really strong character. And so, going back to the manuscript, when I read it, I thought, oh yeah. And then I was like, she's this amazing artist, and she's such young people growing up need to see how amazing of an artist she was. I mean, she created her own character. She created her own life. She created everything. And everything she touched was just such artistry that to me was what I really took away from it. And I just felt like this was such an amazing project for me to be able to be involved with. And, people get to write what they love. I got to draw what I love with this book. And so it was such a fun project to be a part of.
Oh, I can't. Honestly, later in this panel, we're going to actually see different slides of the book and have you both read some of the pages. So I'm so excited to see more of the illustrations. So I'm really looking forward to that. Speaking of creating incredible characters that inspire, we all know her as Raffi from Star Trek Picard. I'm a little fangirly right now introducing Michelle Hurd. Michelle, we're so happy to have you on this panel this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And please tell us a little bit about your journey with Star Trek and how Nichelle has also inspired you.
Well, thank you, Bonnie, for having me here. And what an honor it is to be with all these incredible women.
Right.
Just hearing you guys talk, I mean, Nicole and Nichelle, you said that she told you that even if you're not seen in that industry, to do that, to break through. And that is that's it, isn't it? That's one of the major profound impact that Nichelle has had on so many of us. When I was, a young kid, my father was an actor, and he was experiencing all kinds of racism. All the stuff that he was being cast. He was, the butler, the servant, or the this, the that. There were times where he wouldn't even allow the family to come see him do some work, because it wasn't that he was ashamed. It's just that he didn't want to perpetrate that. He wanted to let his kids know that he was more than that. And one of the things that he wanted to make sure was that his 3 brown girls saw themselves represented in this world, which seems like a crazy thing to say, but it's not. It's not, because we're not all represented, and we hadn't been for a long time. And just like what Angela said, my family, on the weekends, we would sit down and we would watch Star Trek on purposefully, purposefully, because he knew subconsciously, consciously, whatever it was, just to see ourselves represented in a way, in a powerful way. And that's really key here too. Mm-hmm. We had blaxploitation, we had lots of different things that, there were people of color in, but they weren't such a strong, powerful presence. A woman who was in control, who had presence and urgency. People would, the captain would go to her to get information. That is a profound effect on a young, developing mind. Mm-hmm. And, it's kind of amazing. I mean, I said to these wonderful ladies before we started that my father was, my parents were both activists, and he created something called a Matinee for Freedom with Maya Angelou and Godfrey Cambridge, where they would gather Black artists to like a cabaret show to raise funds for Dr. King. And from that activism work and from watching Nichelle, it opened the door to me, not only in artistry, but in activism. I understand the importance of my presence on camera. I have, in my 30 years, I have consciously...
We'll fix it in post. Thank you,
post. Thank you. I've consciously chosen roles of women in power. I've said to my agents back in the day, I said, I'm not interested in being the ingenue and in being the helpless, person who needs to be rescued. Exactly. I want to be the one who rescues. I want to be the one who makes the call. I want to be the one who walks into the room and says, I got you. And, she gave me that permission. She gave me that encouragement. She allowed so many of ladies of color in this industry to be validated, because she was on that show where there was, at a time where that kind of inclusivity was not widespread. I know for myself, like now I'm doing so much activism work. Like right now I'm trying to get the Crown Act codified in all the states. And the Crown Act stands for creating a respectful and open world. It's workplace, but I say world for natural hair. And that's this. That's the Crown Act. This is our crown. And we should be proud of our crown. And in a small way of how fantastic and broad Nichelle was impactful on television and on film, I now, when I walk down the streets, if I see a little munchkin, a little brown, black munchkin with crazy hair, I am the crazy lady who will like run, cross the street, down the block. I'll get in front of them. Then I start to casually walk as if, like this. And then I stop and I go, oh my goodness, I love your hair. That is fantastic. It's so glorious. I wish my hair was that way. You are so lucky. Thank you so much. You are so beautiful. And these children, these little munchkins, the smile that comes upon their face, it's worth everything. Because, we have children being sent home from school because teachers are telling them that their hair is unkept because it looks like this. Because it looks like this. This is our crown. This is our glory. And we need to amplify and celebrate that. And Nichelle gave me the power and the permission to boldly go where people don't go anymore. So she has been profound to me, profound effect to so many women of color in this industry. She opened the door. She laid the concrete for the solid foundation. And we will hold up that for as long as there's breath in our bodies.
Thank you so much for that. Oh my goodness. I'm also very intimidated to introduce our last guest. Speaking of boldly going, this is a woman who has gone to places most of us will never get to. Dr. Proctor, literally in space, and also does just so much. I mean, I could list all of her accomplishments, but it would take the entire panel to do that. Dr. Proctor, thank you so much for joining us. And please tell us about your journey and some of the amazing things that you've accomplished that are also inspiring people today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here, particularly with such, listening to everybody's story and being surrounded by amazing, trailblazing women. It's such a great way to start my day, right? With gratitude and thankfulness and acknowledgement of those who came before and trailblazed the way so that we could rise and fly higher. And literally, that's what I did. Flew in 2021, I was part of the Inspiration 4 crew, the first all-civilian mission to orbit, and I became the first Black female to pilot a spacecraft. I also became the first Black civilian astronaut and the first Black person to paint in space. But growing up, Star Trek, just same as many people here that talked about how being able to see Nichelle on the screen, when I think about being that little girl and my dad intentionally, again, bringing us together, me and my siblings, I'm one of 4, and being able to watch Star Trek together, that was our thing. And really kind of set the foundation for this idea that you can go off and do anything and become anything. And I think there's a lot of synergy here when we talk about our families and the ability, how our parents saw Star Trek coming out. Because I was born just after the original series aired. And so I got to see it on reruns. But my parents were very intentional about making sure that I not only saw those reruns, but then, as you know, the series kind of continued with the movies and stuff and going as a family to watch all of them. And it made such an impression on me. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut and a fighter pilot. And what my parents didn't tell me was, one, there were no female fighter pilots, and there were no. There were yet, and flying the F-16 and the Tomcat and all of that stuff. But they never told me. My dad was like, "You like military aircraft? I'll bring it to the model shop, and we'll pick out what you want to build." But also that there weren't any Black female astronauts. Dr. Mae Jemison didn't fly until I was in my 20s. She didn't get selected. And a lot of people don't know this, but Nichelle trailblazed the way to open up NASA for diversity and inclusion. And when I think about the fact that I've had this opportunity, if it wasn't for her opening, intentionally saying, yeah, you need to diversify, to NASA and helping them select people like Dr. Mae Jemison. And I think when I think about that, it just makes me feel like I'm so proud to be part of a family tree that extends beyond your family. It's the family tree that's helped elevate you, the ones that have come before that have trailblazed the way. And so when I went to space, it was a really special moment for me. And I had to bring Nichelle along with me. I brought, in fact, that Star Trek 50th anniversary that you mentioned at the beginning. I brought that, but I brought Nichelle's little toy with me to space. And it's funny because this came in a set, with Spock and Captain Kirk, but she's the only one that went to space with me.
And rightfully so.
That's right. You got limited space. And I was like, I'm bringing this one with me because she's the one who represented so much for me and my legacy and being able to do what I've done. And I think we have a video that we're going to show that kind of illustrates that.
Yeah.
My dream of always wanting to go to space.
The first time that I saw myself on screen was with Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek series that aired in the 1960s. This was before I was born, but I remember watching reruns with my family. We would watch Star Trek as a kid, and I just got so inspired by Nichelle's character, Lieutenant Uhura. What a lot of people don't realize is that after Star Trek, Nichelle Nichols went on to become a big advocate with NASA for diversity. So really pushing for minorities and women to become a bigger part of the agency and astronauts. I have become the first Black female pilot of a spacecraft, and I am now in a position to go out and inspire the next generation. I can't help but think back to being that little girl watching Star Trek. One of the things that I did was I flew some Star Trek memorabilia with me to space because I wanted to pay homage to that time in my life and how it impacted me. I also created a commemorative patch called Chasing the Dream, a Jedi Space, a just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive space, which again goes back to Star Trek and Nichelle Nichols and that whole idea of diversity and why diversity matters. And so thank you, Nichelle, for what you did to inspire me as I go on to inspire the next generation.
So this is the four of us are going to space together. The inspiration forms.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Wow. What I love too, especially, is that so many young kids have big dreams growing up. Like, I want to do this when I grow up. I want to be this. And you said you wanted to be an astronaut, and you freaking did it. Like, how inspiring. I mean, I feel like so unaccomplished after watching half of all of your things. Like, all of you are just so incredible with really pursuing your path. And you also mentioned that you have a poem that you wrote and about Nichelle, and I would love to hear that, if you would be so kind to share it with everyone.
Sure. You know, I was really fortunate that I'd been chasing space basically my entire life, but you know, I actually won my seat to space as an artist and a poet. And I wrote this poem called Wings to Soar. And here, this is how it goes. When I opened my eyes, I wanted to fly. A small Black girl reaching high. Mom and Dad saw the love, so they fueled the soul of their little Black dove. They said, don't just dream the dream, let's make it real. A tangible reality you can feel. Queen Bessie Coleman laid the foundation, becoming the first Black girl to fly in the nation. Showing us all a path to bring us forward, a trail to move us up and onward. But it won't be easy. You've got to really want it. Work hard and not get daunted. A dream manifested through sweat and tears, not getting bogged down in negative hype and fears. I became a pilot and then so much more. To the stars, I wanted to soar. Thank you, Queen Bess, for trailblazing the way, and then on to space with Dr. May. Let's also remember Nichelle, who gave us hope and imagination. We all watched her trek in admiration. You all helped me also become a first, as I fulfilled my cosmic thirst. On the wings of a dragon, I took my flight, blazing upward into the stellar night. These amazing Black women got me to this unimaginable height, and now I get to be a guiding light. The sky is no longer the limit. You can stand on the shoulders of those who've lived it. We will lift you up further than anyone has gone before. You just have to want to spread your beautiful wings and soar.
Woo! Wow.
Absolutely incredible. Is there a place where people can find that poem? Is it online
I would
somewhere?
like that poem.
I haven't published it yet.
Honestly, I could see that hanging framed on walls. It's so
I need that in my house.
That could literally be a picture book.
Angela, we need to talk.
I'm like, Lauren, what are you doing? I have a dream.
Lauren's already illustrating it as we speak. She has her.
Yes, Dr. Proctor, you can't just hold on to that. That's not just for yourself, my dear.
I know.
Right. Please publish that. Please. That is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Please email it to me. I mean, I'm selfish. I'll take it.
I will email it to all of you. But you're right. It's about using our space. I call it space to inspire. And that's what Nichelle did. She taught us how to use our space to inspire those within our reach and beyond. This space, when I say space to inspire, it's this unique space that you inhabit and how you can bring your essence into the world and share it and help elevate us and those around you.
That is beautiful.
Amen.
It reminds me of my favorite. There's a meme of this little girl with fake wings, and it says, "But what if I fall?" And then underneath it says, "But my darling, what if you fly?" And it really reminds me of that. And I always look at that picture when I'm down, because we just have to remember to just keep flying and just take that leap. And I believe we might have someone joining the panel, a surprise, possibly guest. Maybe not.
Hello?
Is that it? I think it is. I believe Rod Roddenberry is sneaking into our panel to say hello. Hi, Rod.
Turn on my camera. I'm on the road. Sorry, I'm traveling.
Hey.
Don't look at your camera. Look at the road.
Look at the road, Rod.
I'll look at the road.
You are boldly going, but please go safely.
How you guys doing? Good morning.
Good. Fantastic. Obviously, Rod Roddenberry is someone who needs no introduction. But Rod, if you want to say a few words too about Nichelle and her legacy, all of these women are just so incredible. I wish you were here earlier to hear some of their stories. But luckily, this is going to be on YouTube where you can rewatch it.
Just one story that I have shared before, but I mean, it was always the most powerful and important one to me is that, Nichelle always loved my family. She loved my father, she loved my mother, and she loved me. And she was the one who always, again, for anyone listening, watching who doesn't know, I was born in 1974, long after the original series had come out. So I certainly wasn't around during the original series. But as a kid, and I went to conventions and did stuff like that, I didn't really feel connected to the original series. And of course, when Next Gen came out, I worked as a PA on the show. So at least felt like I had some sort of connection to it. But anytime I was at an event that Nichelle was at and the Star Trek cast would get on stage, the original series cast would get on stage or be recognized, she would look around in the audience or see me behind stage or whatever, and she would drag me out to sort of represent my father. And it was an incredible thing and very sweet that she did that. Not because I was trying to take any sort of responsibility for the original series, but she just said, "You're part of the family. You need to stand out here with us." And it's a testament to the kind of person she was. She wasn't thinking of herself in that moment. She wasn't thinking of many other things. She was thinking, what's like the right situation for this? Mm-hmm. Who belongs out here and maybe who doesn't? And that was incredible. And I love her for that.
Beautiful. I mean, even in that moment, she was passing the flame. Even in that moment, she was empowering. She was bringing you on stage, giving you, weight. Just a selfless, amazing woman. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Rod, thank you so much for jumping in and sharing that with us. I know you're driving and on the road, so if you have to step out, totally understand, but please feel free to stay because right now we have an exciting thing coming up. We have the actual book, To Boldly Go. Angela and Lauren are going to read some of the pages for us, and we actually have a slide so we can all follow along and see some of the amazing artwork of the book. So for those who haven't ordered theirs yet, this is your sneak peek of To Boldly Go, which was just launched January 17th. It is available to order right now. Angela, Lauren, I'm so excited to see your work. And again, Rod, thank you so much for stopping in and sharing that with us.
Camera, but I'm going to listen to you guys. So I'm going to turn off my camera and listen.
Perfect. Yeah, just keep your eyes on the road. I know the pictures are going to be pretty, but keep your eye on the road, okay?
You got it. You got it.
All right. So I believe we have those slides available. I'm not sure if they're going to just pop up magically or if we have to summon them like faced east, bounce up in there. Okay, perfect. There they are. Wonderful. So ladies, I'm going to pass the mic to you and I can't wait to see some of this.
Oh boy. Okay. Like, let me find this.
Oh, look, Dr.
Oh yeah,
Fox can follow along.
If you do have your book, please follow along.
I'm gonna read, I think.
Like ding. Turn to page. I don't know what page it is, but
You are in the middle somewhere. So look at your pages of the book.
please turn to page middle.
I'm sorry, what was that, Lauren?
Would you like me to start or would you like to begin?
I would like you to start, please.
Okay. All right. As she grew older, her love of singing, dancing, and performing brought dazzling opportunities. At 16, she toured with the legendary bandleader Duke Ellington. Later, she won a small role in a movie starring many Black celebrities, who became her role models and lifelong friends. Maya Angelou, Pearl Bailey, Sammy Davis Jr., Sidney Poitier, and more. Soon, Nichelle became a rising star herself. And so when Star Trek began, she felt confident that she belonged wherever her talents took her.
But Hollywood had other plans, had other ideas. Working on the studio lot, Nichelle experienced the same painful reminders from her childhood, that white people did not treat Black people as equals, no matter how talented they were. You don't work here. Even the Star Trek characters she had worked so hard to bring to life became less visible on the show. We've been ordered not to give you your mail. Nichelle no longer felt strong or confident, and it seemed neither she nor her character would ever be seen as important or equal. She decided there was only one thing she could do. Head held high, she walked into Star Trek producer Gene Roddenberry's office and told him she was quitting the show. Nichelle, please think about it, he pleaded with her. But Nichelle was sure of her decision.
The next evening, Nichelle appeared at a fundraiser as a special guest. As her eager fans gathered around her, the event host approached her. Nichelle, there is someone we would like you to meet. Who would like to meet you? The host explained. He's a big fan of Star Trek and you her. Turning around, Nichelle locked eyes with the fan. Is this happening? She thought to herself. Was it really him?
Standing before her was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, he said, I am that fan.
Oh, that is one of my favorite stories about her.
I can't even lie. I don't know about you, Lauren, but I just like realized I'm like, oh my God, Roddenberry's on this call. Marion Smothers is on this call. And we're reading this book, and anytime they could be like, I'm not sure how that worked. That was high stakes for me. Thank you for listening.
High stakes.
That's beautiful.
Really beautiful.
So again, if for anyone who wants to order it, it is out now. Where can people find it, Angela?
And look at that. I've just clicked on Amazon. Look at that. And
there it is. Well, that answers one question. You can find it on Amazon, and I'm sure there's other places. Angela, Lauren, do you know?
I believe there is a special link through the Nichelle Nichols Foundation.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. I was going to say there's a link on the Nichelle Nichols Foundation.
Do that one. Go on that one.
Perfect. Yes.
Go on that one.
The only one we're talking about.
And while you're on it, donate to the foundation. We need all the help we can get.
Absolutely. It's nichellenichols.foundation. You can donate directly on the site. You can also order to Boldly Go directly from the site.
Absolutely.
So honestly, it's the Nichelle Nichols Foundation does so much for the community and for charity, and it's a wonderful foundation. Everyone should donate. They're keeping the legacy of Nichelle alive by sharing her generosity and kindness with the world. Unbelievable. I know some of you do have to leave shortly, but I would love to open up for more discussion about anything, about Nichelle, about Star Trek, about some of your future goals and what you're doing, what's the future holding for all of you, your dreams, your passions. I mean, the conversation is endless with all of you women. I'm just blown away by all of your stories.
Yeah. Well, I hope that, I do hope that like anyone who's watching, especially our youth, really get this message that, to be brave and to boldly go, but really it is about breaking barriers. And, if there's an industry, this is twofold, right? If there's a passion that you have, a desire, something that has awoken in you, and you don't see yourself represented, don't let that hold you back. Be the first. Be bold. Go ahead and break that glass ceiling or those invisible guardrails that keep you back, because this is literally, the impact of seeing yourself in this world, represented in this world, is boundless. I don't think we understand how incredibly important that is. Representation matters.
Absolutely.
Optics matter. And to now, to sort of be just like what Nichelle and Nicole said, that they wanted to create their own winery. I mean, their own wine, that's an amazing thing. And they didn't see anybody that was like them, but they persevered. It's happened. Now there's a whole bunch of other brown and black creatures that can go, hey, wait a second. That is doable. If there's a vocation that you see that you want to be in, that you have a passion for, but you don't see yourselves represented, break that mold, go forward, do it, because there are 1,000 people behind you wanting to do the same thing and just don't have, at least maybe are a little bit hesitant or a little fearful. Let's be together, strength in numbers, and know that you're supported, because being the first is a beautiful thing, but you won't be the last.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to jump in on that about being the first. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I grew up in a generation coming behind Nichelle as a younger sister, but not that much younger. Going into my field, or rather starting out as a young woman working in the 60s, I was always the first one. I was the first long distance telephone operator, one of the first at Pacific Bell back in 1961. And every job I took from that point, it was always like I was one of the first ones, And so now I'm looking at generations that are coming up now. They don't have to worry about being that first one. They can push past these barriers that have been put there. And they've got the tools to do it, from the generations. They're standing on the shoulders of those that have gone before them. And it's really a wonderful, wonderful legacy, and that I'm able to help in some small way, give back through my sister, through the foundation, and help to create and extend her legacy and what she wanted.
Yeah.
The visual that comes to mind is, when you see nature and there's no path, and the one person that trods through and starts the path, and then people follow, and then pretty soon you have the grass worn where a path actually develops.
Absolutely.
We all have to be the one who starts the path sometimes.
Yeah.
And speaking of being the first, I would like to jump back to Dr. Proctor before she has to step out, just because I would love to hear some of her last thoughts of everything. And again, you were the first of so much, and what an incredible thing for the young to see now, to see someone like you just pursuing. What's next for you? I mean, you've been to literal space. What is next? How can you top that? I mean, I'm sure you can, but
I really want to talk about how when you're trailblazing away, you find allies that can help you, because there's a lot of times when you want to give up. And when thinking about the story we just read with Nichelle, and that moment where she was fighting against so much, so much was working against the system. You know, she was fighting that system and people not wanting to support her. And when and that can be daunting, it wears on you. And then when she was ready to say, you know, I can't do this anymore, it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that said, no, this is why. Like he gave her the strength to continue. And I think about, you know, my career and a lot of our careers when you're trailblazing the way and the system is fighting against you. I wouldn't be Dr. Proctor if it hadn't been for one of my mentors who I was going to quit. And I went into the first person and white male. And I said, this was my PhD. And I'm like, I'm done. I can't do it because it was, you know, a whole lot came out about Black in the Ivory or Black in the Ivy and about going to school and all of the adversity that Black people have faced with getting an education. And he was like, yep, bye, after 5 years, you know, like, see ya. And then my next advisor, I went to him, another white male, and he said, yeah, no, see you later. And then I went to the third one, who was a female who kind of had been sitting on the sidelines as part of that. And I walked in, I said, I'm done. And she said, no, you're not. He is no longer your advisor. You are now my grad student. And she's like, here is your office down the hall from me. And it was the first time I got mentorship. And like I learned what true mentorship looked like. And I was done a year later and became Dr. Proctor, which changed my trajectory completely. And if you look at, you know, where Nichelle was at that time, where she had just gotten beaten to the point where she was like, you know, I can't do this anymore. And then talked to the right person. And that person gave her the strength to go on and succeed in that area, which led to all of us being here celebrating her. And I just love that, you know?
Yeah, that's such a great story. And if I can like add to that, Dr. Proctor, in what you just said, it's like the importance of being seen. That moment between Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Nichelle Nichols, he saw her at any point. I mean, he could have said like, oh, you quit? Come join me. Like, you know, he could have been like, be the face on my next month. But he didn't. He saw that she was bigger than that. And that she, you know, he held up this mirror that she wasn't seeing. Again, going back to impact, she wasn't seeing her impact. Like, just as you said, Dr. Proctor, when you're in it, you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to pay your bills, make your money, you know, do what you got, take care of your babies. Like, that's what you're trying to do. And for this man, the Black man, to see this Black woman and say, no, you're bigger than this. There's more for you out there. See the bigger picture of what you can do. And that was what I really loved about, you know, all the interviews. I never got to meet Ms. Nichols myself in person, but to watch those interviews, so many interviews of her speaking on this moment and what it meant to her. And that's what I'm hoping, you know, Nichelle, you told us a great story before we got on about when you see a young kid of color who's got natural hair, that you will go up to them so they can see you because you look like them, and you are championing them that they can look their authentic self and that they should be proud of their authentic self. And so for me, that's what this book also represents, of like being seen, and how much we can do when just somebody will see us and show us what's possible, the things that we don't even think of ourselves of doing. And so that's what I'm really excited about, bringing this book also into schools, because I want kids of color not only to see themselves in the book, but I also want them to see that these two Black girls from Minnesota who didn't know each other before that, you know, like, we were in the arts. That's another thing, you know, kids of color, arts are not really accessible to them as careers, maybe as hobbies, but not careers. And so to be able to go into schools and have kids see like, hey, I can be this amazing artist, illustrator. Of course, let me add to that, New York Times best-selling illustrator.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Let's never forget that title.
I saw you glossed over that, Miss Semmer. I saw you glossed over that. But,
beautiful.
You know, she is a New York Times best-selling illustrator. Yes. I'm a Black author, female author, and I want to be in schools so that kids of color can see that they have a future in the arts. They have the future in STEM, you know, in STEAM, whatever they want to do, whatever they can pursue, they can. And I hope all of us as people will also understand that it's also our job to help them be seen.
Absolutely.
We have to see them. We have to be able
You have to have the active allies, and that's what
Right.
and when I think about Rod's dad, what he was an active ally. What Nichelle did with opportunity comes responsibility, and recognizing that those are the things that we now get to be able to do. Is we get to empower and inspire and uplift through our messages and our creativity. And I just have one last thing, because I'm going to have to go, unfortunately. But I would love to share one more poem with you, if that's
absolutely. Okay. And you better publish it. I'm going to say it right now. After that first one, I want a book of Dr. Proctor poetry.
I actually do have that.
No, you do have that.
But not that. Unfortunately, Wings to Soar hasn't been published yet.
Okay,
but
we're going to be waiting for it.
This is the poem that actually won me my seat to space, and again, it has a Star Wars acronym, but it's a Star Trek heart and meaning, and so it's called Space to Inspire. You've got space, I've got space, we all have space to inspire. That's why we dream of going higher and higher. But what is space if you can't breathe? Let's stop sucking out the air of our humanity. We have a moment to seize the light. Earth from space, both day and night. We have J for justice, to ignite the bold. We have E for equity, to cut past the old. We have D for diversity, to end the fight. We have I for inclusion, to try to make it right. A Jedi space to rally behind, a universal force so big it binds, inspiration to change the world, a new beginning for us to hold. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about space to inspire for all of humanity. Science, technology, engineering, and math, sending us out on the explorer's path. But don't forget the arts, the heartbeat of time. Consider sending a poet who knows how to rhyme. Let us drop the mic and close the capsule door. But please make sure, I should say now, thank you for making sure Dr. Proctor was on board. My space to inspire is what we need. Inspiration for all of humanity.
Oh, my.
That was incredible.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You're in. Get her on the ship. Let's go.
But that space to inspire, again, is about your unique space, the space you inhabit, and why that's so important that you use that space to make sure that space is a Jedi space, just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive for yourself, those around you, and those who you don't even know you're influencing. And I want to thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Proctor.
Panel.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Lauren, I do know you have to hop out soon too. Did you have any last thoughts that you want to share with us before?
I just wanted to share my favorite illustration from the book, and it's actually something you wouldn't see unless you looked closely. But if you lift up the jacket.
Oh!
It is an illustration of Nichelle.
Oh!
I might have to buy 2 books, one to read and one to display.
That's a special thing that you have, a special pro tip. If you get the book, to definitely take the jacket off because there's more art there. And it's just been such a pleasure to be in company and discussion with everyone today. And I feel like it's just been a really special journey doing this book and also promoting it. It's been really, really special. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Listening to all of your stories and also just hearing how one person can inspire so many, and then it's a domino effect. And for everyone listening and watching, especially in any industry with women particularly, it's very competitive. We always feel like we have to compete with each other. And I like to say high tides rise all ships. We all lift each other up, and paving the path for everyone, or going down the path that you see someone else go down that inspires you. Honestly, just everyone just raise each other up and continue to be the change you want to see. And again, I'm just overwhelmed by all of you. Dr. Proctor, speaking of ships of rising, thank you for sharing all of your incredible stories. Same with you, Lauren. We don't have to leave. We can continue going for a few more minutes if everyone wants to go around and say some final thoughts and just anything else that you would like to share. I would just like to add to make sure everyone goes to the Nichelle Nichols Foundation website and donate, and also order to boldly go, because that is what we are here celebrating today. It's been incredible. But yes, any final thoughts you would like to share with everyone watching?
We would like to thank everyone for supporting our Aunt Nichelle all these years and beyond. Like it's so amazing. We sit in awe of what she's done and the current impact she still has to this day. And I'm not going to say we don't feel pressure to rise to the occasion, because we definitely do, because we know what it means to impact an industry, from the smallest thing of like people seeing us in our ads with braids in our hair. And then we get emails saying, thank you for showing my daughter she can be in this industry. She didn't know this could be a job. You guys are so Moniers. We didn't know what that was until you guys really started educating people. We're really trying to bridge the gap between the Black community and the wine industry, as there is sometimes an intimidation factor, and there shouldn't be. So we're really here to move and progress the industry forward, and it can be hard at every stage, but we're here to do it. This is not something that will be here just for a short minute. We will be here for a very long time, so we can leave things for our family and our children eventually. So thank you.
I will drink to that.
love the Black Girl magic. Love the
absolutely.
Black Girl.
And is there a place where people can find your wine? If you want to share your website and your social media, because I know I'm going to.
It's called, you can go to theguiltygrape.com, and on all our social media handles is The Guilty Grape, and we'll be in stores within the next 2 months as well. So,
all right.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So right now it's direct to consumer. Just order online for now. And then in a couple months, buy in bulk at the store.
There you go.
Got it.
And if it's not in your store, demand it so we can be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. So I got to say, it's, what everybody said is just, it's so powerful. And, I hope that the people who are listening really hear that, we can help each other. We can reach over, reach down, reach up, reach side to side, whatever, but let's be allies to each other. Women are incredibly powerful creatures. And if we can unite each other and empower each other and uplift each other, we could change the world. And, just again, for all my brown and Black brothers and sisters, you're glorious. You're glorious. What you look like is glorious. It's unique. It's beautiful. It's unlike any other beauty you will ever see. Embrace that. Empower that. Own it. Encourage yourself. Be bold. Wear your hair in whatever style you want. Put on as many different colors as you want. Walk down the street like a peacock, because you are glorious. And don't ever let anyone diminish your flame, because we need that bright sunshine in this earth. So just, spread the love, spread the joy.
I feel like you gave closing remarks right there.
I know. I feel like you need to write that down and publish that as well. I feel like you and Dr. Proctor need to do a collaboration.
Or Angela, Angela, you go ahead, write that down, baby. That's
I'm in Oakland. Tell me where you want to meet up.
And once again, such an honor, Marion, to be with you and to be with your nieces. I mean, it's just, it's an honor.
The honor is mine. I'm just looking at all of you and how far we've come and how strong you all are. It's just wonderful. And this is what Nichelle loved. She loved this, and so, hey, do it. Go out there and do it. Girls, I love you.
Love you too.
It's true. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And Angela, if you'd like to say any last thoughts, especially again, where people can find your book. And again, thank you for writing something so special. It just shows how one person can make such an effect. And we should all strive to be that one person that ripples out and continues to inspire and spread goodness. So thank you for writing this.
Oh, the honor was all mine. I mean, my thanks is to the Nichols family. Your family bond, your family love, Marion, that came through in your opening comments about Nichelle and how you all grew up and supported each other. I think that's beautiful. This was a true honor. It was. I never did I think when I was reading her autobiography or watching a interview online that I would end up here in this discussion, meeting her family. Like, my mind is completely blown. That was not on my bingo card for this book. But I'm just really happy to be able to be the vessel that could help usher it into the world. I'm honored to be able to speak on it again, like I said, in schools to kids. I hope it brings a whole new generation of the original Star Trek fans, Star Trek fans. I hope that it continues the work that even, Mr. Roddenberry had done. I mean, I love it, as much as my whole heart is around Nichelle and the work that she did to bring Lieutenant Uhura to life. There's also a thanks that needs to be said to Mr. Roddenberry for fighting for Star Trek. It was not an easy journey. And had it not been for Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, there would have been no Star Trek. So, really this, you talk about community, you talk about when people come together, when you talk about a world where there is diversity and inclusivity. And as you said, Bonnie, raising each other up, like, that's not just women, that has to be men and women. It has
Absolutely.
to be people. It has to be human beings. And so, again, like, had it not been for, Mr. Roddenberry understanding just how bad racial relationships were, how he could, move a nation in their thinking and their lens of each other racially, there's much to be thanked for that and to be remembered. Amen. And to be inspired by. Amen. And so I'm just so honored to have had parents like Nichelle and like Lauren, who were like, this is a show that you need to watch. And we want you to understand the underlying stories, like what's really being said between the lines, and what, there are Black people in the future. We are the future, Black to the future.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm boldly going.
and look at all the new Trek now, how, shout out to Rod, who's not only continuing his father's legacy, but starting his own with Roddenberry Entertainment, with all the new Trek, the diversity where, not just different ethnicities, but gender and different everything is being represented so beautifully in a lot of this new Trek. And now we have, again, shout out to Star Trek Prodigy, who's bringing those young kids in and showing and introducing them to Star Trek so they can go back and discover things like the original series and see the legacy of Star Trek and how it's changed the world. So, I'm such a small part in this little bitty family, and I'm so honored to be part of it and to see how the community has, again, lifted each other up and inspired and changed. And starting with people like Nichelle, who just went in flames blazing. Absolutely.
Blazing, that's right. Oh, speaking of that, Bonnie, third season of Star Trek Picard drops February 16th.
Yes, it does. It is in my planner. I'm so excited.
And everyone, family are amazing. Rod's gonna say something. Yeah.
No. I'm so sorry, guys, and I'm sorry that I don't have the camera on, but I came into this late. Thank you so much for having me here, and just listening to the excerpts from the book and what you guys have to say. I don't have much to say except for what everyone already knows. Star Trek was built on the backbone of infinite diversity from infinite combinations. The IDIC message and everything that you guys are saying is what makes Star Trek real Star Trek and not just a sci-fi TV show. My father believed in not just the difference in skin color, but the difference in idea. The fact that anything different is something that we can learn and grow from. And that is what I love in Star Trek. To me, Star Trek isn't a TV show that I work on to make money. I truly believe in it, like so many fans do, that it is. Listen, there's many roadmaps to the future, but it's a pretty decent roadmap to a future that I want to live in. So that is why I support it. That's why I believe in the philosophy. And that's why I believe in everything you guys have said today. So thank you.
Let's all strive towards the Federation and have Guilty Grape not be synthesized. We will have the real stuff on board.
Yeah.
No replicator. No replicator.
No replicating Guilty Grape. Absolutely not. Again, thank you so much, ladies. And this has been such a pleasure to moderate and to hear everything that you've had to say. And for all of you watching, you can, again, go to the Nichelle Nichols Foundation website. Make sure to donate. They do so much good. You can see it right here on the screen. And
Please, yes.
this video will be up. If you missed anything, you can go back and rewatch. If you want to hear more of these incredible women's stories, this will be up hopefully forever, because all of their stories need to be heard, and they are all so inspiring. I'm just blown away by all of you. So I'm trying not to like blush. Get the light on. But yes, thank you all so much, and yeah, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper, everyone.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you.